Down there, life continues. The traffic is awful, stocks go on trading, and Star Trek is still showing.
Good day, grade 9s. Welcome to today's lesson for Natural Sciences. We are still continuing with Term 1, and the knowledge area is Life and Living. This section contributes 80 marks towards your media exam, so please pay attention and take advantage of the marks because these concepts are very, very easy to understand. The topic for today's lesson is systems in the human body, and the subtopic is body systems. I am your host, Kwanele Dlamini, and this lesson was proudly brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education. So without any waste of time, let's get right into it. Right, so what's the point of this lesson? Why are we doing this? What are we trying to achieve? We're trying to ensure that by the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the main body systems, which are the digestive system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, and musculoskeletal system. You should also be able to describe the excretory system, the nervous system, and the reproductive system. You should be able to state the processes and purposes of the different body systems. And lastly, you should be able to give the health issues associated with each of the body systems. Now, for more information on this, you can refer to the grade 9 CAPS document on page 57. Let's continue. Now let's take a step back and revisit some of the concepts that we've learned in previous grades because they lay a foundation for today's lesson. Right, so we are going to begin from grade 4. Right, so in grade 4 we learned about living things. But what are living things? You can think of living things as things that demonstrate life. Now that's a very, very vague explanation. Let's try and go a bit further. Living things are made up of cells. And as they are made up of cells, they undergo what is known as respiration, which is a process where food is broken down to release energy in the presence of oxygen. Right. So we have a variety of living things. Okay. They are also referred to as living organisms. They come in different shapes and forms, in the forms of animals. We have plants in different varieties. We also have bacteria, fungi, and of course, us, human beings. We are all part of living organisms. So all living organisms have the ability to move and the ability to grow, right? And in a nutshell, you can think of life as a little bit of a dash between two dates, okay? The one date is when something is born, and then the other date is when it dies. And life is what's happening in between. So all living things have a lifespan, and at some point they die out. Now let's continue. In grade 8, we learned about photosynthesis and respiration. But what is photosynthesis and what is respiration? Let's start with photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process by which plants use radiant energy from the sun, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and water from the ground to manufacture their own food in the form of sugars. Okay? And there's going to be a byproduct, which is oxygen, which is essential for us in breathing. Then we have cellular respiration. But before we go into cellular respiration, one thing you need to note about photosynthesis is that it only occurs in plants. Respiration, on the other hand, occurs in both plants and animals. And it's actually a reverse of photosynthesis. So in photosynthesis, we did what? We used carbon dioxide, water, and energy from the sun to produce what? Sugars and oxygen. So this one, respiration, let's start by defining it. Respiration is a process by which living organisms break down food in the presence of oxygen to produce what? Energy. Right, so we are taking the food and the oxygen, which should have been a product of photosynthesis, and we are reversing that reaction to produce what? Energy and carbon dioxide and water as byproducts. Okay, so cellular respiration occurs in all living organisms, while photosynthesis only occurs in plants. Why? Because plants have what? Chloroplasts. Okay, so let's continue. Now let's do a baseline assessment, which is nothing but a couple of questions just to test your level of understanding of concepts that we've already covered. Right, so the first question I have is, what are tissues made up of? Question 2, define an organ. And question 3, which is our last question, distinguish between an organ and an organism. Right, so you have 3 minutes to work on these 3 easy questions. Try and attempt them on your own, and you can discuss with your friend, and then when you are done, you'll come back and we will discuss them together. Your time begins now. All right, learners, welcome back. I hope you were able to answer these 3 simple questions. Now, without any waste of time, let's discuss the answers to these questions together. Let's begin with the first one. What are tissues made up of? What do you think? What are tissues made up of? Yes, that is correct. Tissues are made up of a group of similar cells, okay? There has to be a group of similar cells to make tissues. So what is an organ? Can you define an organ? Yes, that's what an organ is. An organ is a collection of different tissues working together. It's a collection of different tissues working together. Now let's distinguish between an organ and an organism. We already know what an organ is, so we need to find out what is an organism and how are they different from each other, because the words sound similar, right? Right. So what is the difference between an organ and an organism? Yes, that is correct. An organ is made up of different tissues, right? Which work together to form a system. while an organism is made up of different systems working together. So organs make up systems, while systems make up organisms. So that's the difference between the two. It's just an increase in complexity from the one to the other. Okay? Now let's define a couple of terms that we are going to encounter in the lesson so that by the time we see them, we don't get confused and we don't need to consult the glossary of the textbook. Okay? So let's define the first term. The first term is digestion. What is digestion? Digestion is the process of breaking food into smaller and simpler substances. The next one is esophagus. It is the tube that connects the mouth to the stomach. A tube that connects the mouth to the stomach. The next term is heart attack. Heart attack is a blood clot that blocks the flow of blood, whereby the heart muscle cells do not receive oxygen, and the heart can be damaged as a result. Okay. The next term is stroke. Stroke happens when the flow of blood to the brain is stopped and the brain cells start to die because of the lack of what? Oxygen. Next term is asthma. Asthma is a disorder that causes airways of lungs to swell, that leads to shortness of breath and coughing. Okay, so it's a disorder that causes airways of the lungs to swell, leading to a shortness of breath and coughing. Lung cancer is a disease where the lung cells have grown uncontrollably, which is often caused by smoking. So quit smoking, guys. If you haven't started, don't do it. It's bad for you. Okay, respiration. Respiration is the process that uses oxygen to break down food, converts food into energy. Okay, it produces energy from food in the presence of oxygen. Now let's talk about body systems. Right. The human body consists of several integrated body systems which are working together to keep the organism alive, to keep the body alive. Okay? Now for an example, when you hear your morning alarm in the morning, your body systems will work together to allow a response. The first thing that happens when you hear the alarm, your sense of hearing, which is your ear, will hear the alarm and you'll be awake. You open your eyes, right? And then you are going to make use of your musculoskeletal system, where you are stretching your muscles and your bones, and you will get out of bed, right? So we have an interconnection there between what? The nervous system and the musculoskeletal system. When you open your eyes, hearing the alarm, your brain triggers your body into getting up, right? And when you're stretching your muscles, you are now using what? Your musculoskeletal system. So we have two systems that are overlapping to allow a response. Another example is when you eat your food, your body organs of the digestive system will work together to break down the food. From the moment you start biting and chewing, and then it goes down through your esophagus to get to your stomach where digestion takes place. And of course, the last step where you have to get rid of that food, right? So you have body systems that are working together to break down that food. So this lesson is about those systems. We're trying to understand these body systems and how they interact with each other. Right, so the systems that we are going to try and discuss are as follows. The first one is digestive system. The second one is the circulatory system. The third one is respiratory system. Fourth, musculoskeletal system. Fifth, excretory system. Sixth, nervous system. And seventh, the reproductive system. Okay, so we have a lot of systems to cover in this lesson, and please forgive me if I'm moving a little too fast. Okay, now let's begin with the digestive system. What is the function of the digestive system? What do you think? Yes, it breaks down food into dissolved nutrients that can be absorbed into the bloodstream and transported to cells throughout the body. So the main function of the digestive system is to break down food, to extract these soluble nutrients, which can be transported to where they needed in the body through the bloodstream. Okay? And obviously, the waste that is not needed will have to be gotten rid of. But we'll learn more about that as we continue. Now, the structure of the digestive system involves the mouth, your esophagus, your salivary glands, your liver, your stomach, your large intestine, your small intestines, your rectum, and your anus. Okay, those are different parts of the digestive systems. The main components, it's your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, your liver, and your anus. Okay, these are all the organs that are working together to form the system which we call the digestive system. Okay, so what are the main processes that occurs in the digestive system? The main processes are, the first one is the process of ingestion. What do we mean by ingestion? It's the intake of food by either biting, chewing, and swallowing. Okay, when you eat your food, like we saw on the example that we did earlier, that is called ingestion. Okay, and this happens where? Through your mouth. Then we have digestion, which is the mechanical and chemical processes that converts the food into soluble nutrients. The first chemical that is added will be your saliva, and then other chemicals in your stomach to break down the food into soluble nutrients, okay? So that they can be extracted and sent to where they need to be in your body, okay? Through the bloodstream. Right. Then the third one is absorption. Absorption occurs when the soluble nutrients are taken up by the bloodstream in the intestines. So absorption occurs in your intestines where the nutrients that are required for your body, okay, that are required by your body or your body parts are absorbed by the bloodstream through your intestines, from your intestines, okay? Then the last one is going to be egestion. Egestion is getting rid of whatever it is that is not needed in your body. Okay, so this one occurs when the undigested food material called feces are passed out of the body through the anus. Okay, when you go to the loo, this is called egestion. Okay, so what are the health issues associated with the digestive system? What are the health issues? You can think of the health issues as results of a malfunctioning digestive system. That's all they are. If there's a problem in the digestive system, what is your body going to respond like? So the first issue that we are going to look at is the appearance of ulcers. But what are ulcers? Ulcers are open sores that may show up in the lining of your mouth, your esophagus, or even your stomach, or your upper portions of your small intestines. They are open sores and they are very, very painful. Okay? We call them what? Ulcers. They are one of many defects that may show up in your body if your digestive system is not working properly. Another health defect will be anorexia nervosa. This one is caused by the fear of gaining weight. Okay, some people are too scared of gaining weight and then they starve themselves, depriving the body of the nutrients that it needs for survival. So it is an abnormal fear of gaining weight, and therefore you starve yourself and causing issues for your body, because your body needs you to eat so that it can use the nutrients from your food to keep your body in good shape. So you end up looking like the person on the picture. This is a condition called anorexia nervosa, and it can cause damage to your body organs. Okay? So don't do this, guys. Make sure you eat the right foods to prevent yourself from contracting health issues such as anorexia nervosa, because this one is self-induced. Okay? Right. Another one is going to be liver cirrhosis. Okay? This is a disease that slowly replaces healthy liver tissue with scar tissue. So on the left, we have a healthy liver. It looks very beautiful. And then on the right, we have this very scary looking scarred liver tissue. Okay? So this one is suffering from cirrhosis, and this one is healthy, okay? It's nice and smooth, and this one is, it looks like it's been deep fried, okay? So it's also another defect that will occur in your body if your digestive system is not working properly. Let's move on to the circulatory system. So what's the function of the circulatory system? First, we need to understand what do we mean by circulation, okay? It's the movement of something in a cyclic fashion, okay, throughout a period of time or whatever, right? So the circulatory system has to do with flow of something, okay? So what is its function? It brings nutrients and oxygen to cells and removes waste products. So this will be circulation of nutrients in the body through your blood streams, okay? Right. So it brings nutrients and oxygen to cells and removes waste products that are not needed in the body. The structure, it looks as follows. The major components that are part of this circulatory system will be your heart and your lungs, okay? Right, so you have your heart, your veins, your arteries, and your capillaries. They are all parts of the circulatory system. Right. So the main components of the circulatory system include the heart, your blood vessels, your arteries, your veins, capillaries, and your blood. Okay, they are all the main components of the circulatory system. So what are the main processes that occurs in the circulatory system? Right, so we have movement of blood from the heart to the lungs, from the lungs to the heart, and from the heart to the rest of the body. Right, so the main processes include circulating blood between the heart and the lungs, and circulating blood between the heart and the rest of the body. Okay, now what are the health issues associated with the circulatory system? The first one will be high blood pressure. This one is very common because I'm sure if you are staying at home, you may have somebody who suffers from this condition. Right. This occurs when the force with which the blood pushes against the walls of the blood vessels is too high and can cause damage to the capillaries and several organs. So it's caused by the pressure of the blood pushing through the walls of your blood vessels being too high. Okay, it's higher than the required level. Okay, so that can cause damage to the capillaries and several organs. I think a stable blood pressure would be 120/80. Okay, that's when your blood pressure is normal, and then when it gets too high, it becomes problematic and can cause damage to your body organs. Another health issue would be a heart attack. That one is very scary. It occurs when the narrowing or blood clot develops in one of the blood vessels that supplies the heart muscle with blood. Right. So if the narrowing of the blood clot is big enough, it can stop the flow of blood to the heart muscles. Okay, now imagine if blood is no longer able to reach your heart. So then it's going to cause what? Issues for your heart. You may have blood clots, and that is very scary and dangerous. It can cause death. So this can stop the heart from pumping, which is called heart attack, and the person can die as a result of this condition. Another one is a stroke. So it occurs when the cells in your brain are deprived of oxygen. When the cells in your brain don't get enough oxygen, you get what is called what? A stroke. Right. So this often occurs as a result of a blockage in the blood vessels leading to the brain, or one of the vessels rupture, break, or burst open. Right. So what strokes normally do, it basically affects the entire side of your body. It could be the left side or your right side, from your brain all the way to your feet. You find that the entire portion of your body is not working. right? And it becomes difficult for you to do things for yourself. As you can see on this illustration, this man's side, this side of his body is not functioning and he needs someone to assist him with walking. Right, now let's move on to the respiratory system. The respiratory system functions as follows. Its main function is that it's responsible for supplying oxygen to the body and for removing carbon dioxide. That's the respiratory system. So what is the structure? The structure has your nasal cavity, your mouth, your lungs, and your trachea, okay? Your air, your windpipe. They call it a windpipe. So the main components are your nose, your trachea, and other air passageways, your lungs, and your blood, okay? And the main processes of the respiratory system are as follows. You have breathing, inhalation, and exhalation. Inhalation is when you are taking in air, right? You breathe in and your stomach raises, okay? If you are breathing normally, right? When you take when you breathe in, your stomach will raise because it's taking in air. And when you exhale, you are breathing out and your stomach will relax or release, okay? Right. The other one is gaseous exchange. What is gaseous exchange? It is the process by which oxygen and carbon dioxide move between the blood stream and your lungs, okay? So it occurs in something called the alveolus, okay, which is part of your lungs. Then we have respiration, which is, we've already talked about respiration a couple of times here, where we are taking in sugar or food and we are breaking it down in the presence of oxygen to produce what? Energy and carbon dioxide and water. Okay, let's move on. What are the health issues associated with the respiratory system? The first one is asthma. And I'm sure you are familiar with this condition if you have someone that has asthma at home. So asthma is caused by allergies that inflame and narrow the airways. Okay, as you can see from this illustration, we have this. It's a normal. Okay, this one represents a normal lung, right? The side and the airways of the lungs, right here. It's nice and open. And then this side, it is swollen and very, very narrow, okay? It has excess mucus. This one has a normal amount of mucus. This one has excess mucus. So this is an asthmatic lung, okay? The lung of someone with asthma looks like that, and the airways, they are filled with mucus. There's less space for gas to flow there. And this side, there's quite a lot, and it causes people to have breathing problems, and they need an asthma pump to assist themselves in breathing. Right, another issue will be lung cancer, which is a disease that mostly results from smoking or severe air pollution. Like I said earlier, guys, don't smoke at school or anywhere else. It's not good for you. Okay, so this is a healthy lung. Okay, it's healthy, nice and clean. And then the other one is a lung that has a lung cancer. Okay, now before we continue, I would like to remind you that if you have a question or you need clarity on something, you can send your question to our WhatsApp line, which is 064 748 8913. That's 064 748 8913 if you have a question. Right, so you have an uncontrollable growth of cells in this lung that has lung cancer. Right, so don't smoke, guys. If you are smoking, find a way to quit, okay? Let's continue. Another health defect or issue is bronchitis. This one is the swelling of the lining of the bronchi due to infection, which causes coughing and makes it difficult to get the air into the lungs. Okay, so this shows a normal bronchial tube, right? And this one shows an inflamed lining of the bronchial tube. As you can see here, it's nice and it has a nice opening. Here, it's almost clogged. Okay, so this will be a healthy lung, and this one will be a lung that has bronchitis. Okay, let's continue. The next one is asbestosis. So this is a lung disease caused by breathing in particles of asbestos. Asbestos is a very toxic substance and it can damage your lungs. Okay. All right, let's move on. Musculoskeletal system. The function. It is made up of the muscles that produce body movements, your muscles and your bones. Okay. The main function of the musculoskeletal system is to facilitate motion or movement. The skeleton protects your body. Your organs are very fragile, so they are protected by the skeleton, which keeps them safe or houses them or frames them or whatever. The entire system provides support and enables movement. Okay, so what is the structure? The structure involves all your body muscles, all your cartilage, your bones, your tendons, and ligaments. Okay, so it's your muscles, cartilage, bones, tendons, and ligaments. Those are your main components: muscles, bones, cartilage, tendons, and ligaments. Okay, so the main processes or process, it's contraction and relaxation of muscles. So when the muscle is kind of like squashed together, it is contracting. Okay, this is a contracting position, and as it releases, it's called relaxation. It goes back to its normal length. Okay, so it's like squeezing and then it releases to the usual length. Okay, we call it what? Contraction when it's like flexed, and then when it releases, we call it relaxation. The other one will be locomotion and movement. This is the ability to move from point A to point B. Okay, so these are the main processes that occurs in the musculoskeletal system. Let's move on to health issues associated with the musculoskeletal system. We have rickets. Okay, this is a disorder which is caused by the lack of vitamin D, calcium, or even phosphate, which results in soft, weak bones. A typical symptom in children who have rickets is a bowing or bending outwards of the bones of the legs. Okay, when the legs are shaped like that. Okay, we call it what? Rickets. These are normal bones of your legs, right? They are straight. Okay, they're not straight, but they are normal like that. But then when they have rickets, they are bent. Okay, right. Another one would be arthritis. This one is common with like people that are a bit older. This is a condition where the joints in the body become inflamed, painful, and swollen. So it affects your joints. Your joints are the things that where your bones meet. Okay, the places where your bones meet. Like in this case, my arm has two different bones here, and the joint is here that holds or connects them together. So the cartilage between the joints breaks down, causing the bones to rub against each other, which is very painful. So these bones are joined together by something called the cartilage. So if that cartilage is worn out or if it breaks down, then the bones will rub against each other, and it is a very painful experience when that happens. So it can happen on your wrist, it can happen on your knee, on your arm, it can happen even on your shoulder or even your leg, wherever your body has bones that are meeting each other, wherever there's a joint, you can have arthritis in those areas, which is caused by inflamed, painful, or swollen joints. Okay. Another one is osteoporosis, which is also like common with like people that are mostly elderly. This occurs when the bone tissue becomes brittle, thin, and spongy. These fragile bones can break easily and they start to crumble and collapse. Can you imagine your bone being that fragile that it can just break? that is a very terrible experience. So here we have a healthy bone here, right? This is a healthy bone. And then this is a bone with osteoporosis, and it looks very, very porous, like it's spongy, and it can just break, okay? It looks fragile. So it can happen in your knee bones, it can happen with your, basically anywhere where you have bones in your body, okay? Right. Now let's do an activity just to test whether we understand what we've been learning so far. I know it's a lot, but let's just try to do the activity. So complete the following sentences using words in the block below. Okay, we have the esophagus, capillaries, anus, chemical, heart, bloodstream, chemical, stomach, large, intestine, liver, peristalsis, carbon dioxide, and oxygen. So your first question says, the dash is the large organ that produces liquid to break down fats. Question 2, the saliva in the mouth is responsible for dash digestion. 3, food moves from the mouth down the dash and into the stomach by the process of dash. 4, food that has been broken down is absorbed into the dash from the small intestine. 5, the dash pumps blood around the body. 6, the blood that goes from the heart to the lungs is low in and high in. Okay, let's go back. Right, so you have 5 minutes to work on these questions, and your time begins now. All right, learners, welcome back. I know this activity is going to be a bit of a challenge because we didn't talk about some of the things that are here. Please forgive me for that. But let's quickly answer the questions. Right. So the first one, the dash is the large organ that produces liquid to break down fats. What is that? Anyone? It's the liver, okay? Question 2, the saliva in the mouth is responsible for... Yes, that's correct. That's chemical digestion. Let's move on. Number 3, food moves from the mouth down the dash into the stomach by the process of dash. Okay, food moves down the esophagus and into the stomach by the process of peristalsis. Okay. Number 4, food that has been broken down is absorbed into the dash from the small intestine. It's absorbed from the bloodstream. Okay. Number 5, the dash pumps blood around the body. What is it? What pumps blood in your body? It's the heart. Okay. Last one. The blood that goes from the heart to the lungs is low in dash and high in dash. It is low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide. Okay. Right. I hope you were able to understand that. And if you didn't get it right, don't you worry. You can just practice and you will get there. Right. Let's continue because we still have a lot to cover. The excretory system. What is the function of the excretory system? Well, it removes waste from the blood and regulates the body's fluids. So what is the structure of the excretory system? It has, okay, it looks like this. We have your aorta, your kidneys, your ureter, your urethra, and your bladder. Okay, these are the main components, which are your kidney, bladder, and urethra. Right. The main components will be filtration, which is blood with waste enters the kidney and filters separate the waste products and a part of the water from the blood. So in filtration, we have blood which has waste products and it has fluids. So it enters the kidney and the filters of the kidney separates the waste products and a part of the water from the blood. Okay. So it works as a filter. Okay. You're removing stuff that is not needed. Then you have absorption, which is the useful substances in the filtrate such as water, glucose, and amino acid get absorbed from the kidney tubes back into the blood. Why would this happen? These are things that are essential to the body. The body needs your glucose, it needs your amino acids, and it needs... So yeah, it needs your glucose, your water, and amino acids. So they have to be absorbed back into the blood because those are essential for the body. Right, then you have diffusion, which is where waste products still in the blood diffuse from the blood into the kidney tubes. Okay. Right, then you have excretion, which is where once the 3 above processes are completed, the fluid in the tubes, which is not that useful or it's waste, it enters the bladder via the ureter, and later on you are going to have the urge to go and pee and release that waste. Okay. Right. Let's move on. What are the health issues associated with the excretory system? We have kidney failure. This happens when the kidney loses its ability to properly filter and remove metabolic waste, which allows this waste to build up in the body. So now your kidney gets to a point where it fails to properly function. It fails to filter out all of these waste things from your body, and it fails to allow for absorption of the useful things, then there's a buildup of these waste products in your body and you start getting sick. Okay, this is very harmful and may be fatal. In such cases, the patient may need to undergo very regular kidney dialysis. Okay, it's a nightmare. Okay, dialysis involves using a machine which filters the blood for the patient to remove waste products. So now, since your kidneys are no longer able to filter these waste products by themselves, we make use of external machines that assist in removing these waste from your body. It's not nice. Okay, another health issue will be bladder infection. This one is common in females, but it's very rare in men. So bacteria can enter the bladder and cause an infection. This causes swelling and severe pain when you try to urinate. Okay. Right, and this is your bladder. And this is the bladder with the infection on the side. Okay, let's move on. Another one will be kidney stones. Kidney stones form when fluid intake is too low. If you don't drink enough water, okay, you are running a risk of developing kidney stones. So please drink lots of water, okay? It's good for you. This results in the concentration of solutes, salts, and minerals in the kidney becoming too high because there's nothing to wash them away, okay? Right, this can result in small crystal stone forming. The kidney stone may stay in the kidney and move down the ureter to be excreted in the urine. Okay. A larger stone may, however, cause severe pain along the urinary tract and may even get stuck, blocking the flow of urine and causing severe pain and bleeding. Okay. So please drink lots of water to prevent this from happening. Now let's move on to the nervous system. What is the function of the nervous system? It receives and helps the body respond to stimuli. The structure is as follows. It has your brain, your nerves, and your sensory organs. Okay. And the main components, it's your brain, your spinal cord, your nerves, your ears, your nose, your eyes, your skin, and your tongue. Okay. Main process: hearing, seeing, feeling, tasting, and smelling. Okay, so this one has to do with our sensory organs, okay, our 5 senses, which is seeing through your eye, hearing through your ear, smelling through your nose, tasting through your tongue, touching through your skin or your hands. Okay, sending and receiving impulses through your neurons and your brain. Regulating temperature. Okay, what are the health issues? We have trauma and injuries to brain and spinal cord. Any damage to the brain or spinal cord can have devastating effects on the human body. For example, people that have been involved in a car accident may sometimes break their necks, and that may have damage to the spinal cord. This prevents the brain from sending and receiving messages to the body, and the person can become paralyzed. So this is a photo of a healthy brain, and this one is a photo of a brain that has been damaged or a brain that's been injured. Okay, let's continue. We're running out of time. Another one would be stroke. We've already talked about stroke, so I'm not going to re-explain it. Degenerative disorders. There are several problems associated with the nervous system that causes gradual loss of function over time. Okay? These conditions can include things like Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and multiple sclerosis. And Alzheimer's is common in the elderly people, where they start having severe memory losses and they start behaving in ways that are not normal. Okay? They lose their train of thought and they behave strange as a result. Okay, another one will be mental health problems, which include depression, anxiety disorders, and personality disorders. Sensory organ problems, deafness, blindness, short-sightedness, effects of drug and alcohol on the brain. Different types of drugs target different areas of the brain, and it's mostly the brain's reaction that makes people want to take drugs or alcohol. Don't take drugs and don't take alcohol, please. I'm begging you. Okay, let's move on to the last one. We are running out of time. The function of the nerves of the reproductive system. Luckily, we've already covered this. Okay, we are going to cover this one in our next lesson in detail. So it produces sex cells for the purpose of the continuation of species. And the structure includes the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system, or the reproductive organs. The main components are the testes, the ovaries, the uterus, the penis, the vagina. Okay? The main process: growth, cell division, and maturation, copulation, and ejaculation. We will learn more about these terms in the upcoming lessons, okay? Then we have ovulation, menstruation, fertilization, and implantation. Okay. Health issues associated with the reproductive system will be infertility and fetal alcohol syndrome and STDs, okay? Infertility is the inability to bear children. Fetal alcohol syndrome is a syndrome that occurs to unborn babies as a result of the pregnant woman taking alcohol during pregnancy. Again, don't drink alcohol, please. And sexually transmitted diseases such as HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, and etc. Okay. Right. Let's do, okay, activity 2, we'll do it together because we are running out of time and we still need to go to WhatsApp. Write down, okay, write the word that is being described in the sentence. Only write the answer. The structure that attach one bone to another bone on the skeleton. The structure that assists the skeleton to move. The structure that attach muscles to bone on the skeleton. A disease often suffered by the elderly where bones start to break easily. The process of taking waste, water, and glucose out of the blood. The process of removing urine and feces from the body. Right, so the first one is ligaments. The structures that attach one bone to another bone on the skeleton is called a ligament. The structure that assists the skeleton to move is your muscle. The structure that attaches muscle to bones is your tendon. A structure often suffered by the, a disease often suffered by the elderly where bones start to break easily is osteoporosis. The process of taking waste, water, and glucose out of the blood is filtration. The process of removing urine and feces from the body is egestion. Okay, right. Let's summarize our lesson. The human body consists of several integrated systems working together. The digestive system breaks down food into dissolved nutrients that can be absorbed into the bloodstream and transported to cells throughout the body. The circulatory system brings nutrients and oxygen to cells and removes waste products. The respiratory system is responsible for supplying oxygen to the body and removing carbon dioxide. The musculoskeletal system provides support and enables movement. The excretory system removes waste from the blood and regulates the body's fluids. The nervous system receives and helps the body respond to stimuli. Right, so now we're going to take time to go through your WhatsApp questions. And remember, the line is 064 748 8913. That's 064 748 8913. Okay, let's see if we have any question here. Right, there's a question here. It says, hi, my name is Karabo. I want to ask you about what are tissues made up of? Okay, that's a good question, Karabo. Thank you for your question. Tissues are made up of a group of similar cells, okay? A group of similar cells make a tissue. Okay, let's see if we can get another one. Okay. Okay, I don't. Where is the question here? Okay, there are no questions. Let's go back. Okay, that looks like that's all the questions that we had. Okay, but if you have a question that you need assistance with, you can send it through to our WhatsApp line, which is 064-748-8913. It looks like we only had one question. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson and continue. Right. Okay, so in our next lesson, we are going to be looking at the human reproduction system, okay? We will look at purpose and puberty. But what is puberty? Puberty is a stage in the human life where the sexual organs mature in preparation for reproduction. So we will look at that, and we will look at the secondary sexual characteristics, which are the appearance of certain things in your body, the changes that occurs in your body, like the appearance of your pimples, pubic hair, facial hair, and etc. So please tune in same time next week for that lesson, and it's going to be very interesting. Okay, right, so when you finish watching this lesson, please don't forget to scroll to the bottom of your screen, and you will see a button that says complete and continue. Please click there so that we can see that you did indeed watch the lesson from beginning to end, and you'll get bonus points for doing so. Right. That brings us to the end of our lesson. I hope you learned something about the body systems, even though we were moving too fast. I can admit that because there were too many systems and too many things to talk about. I apologize for that. But in our next lesson, we will try to slow down the pace. Okay, so what I need you to do from here is please take care of yourself, wear your mask, sanitize your hands, and keep your social distance. And run in zigzag to confuse this virus so that you don't get it, okay? Right, so I will see you in our next lesson where we are going to be looking at purpose and puberty. I hope to see you there. My name is Kwanele Dlamini, and this lesson was proudly brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.